Hi everyone, this is Shweta and today I am your mentor for doing Learning Outcome B, Understanding Strategic Leadership and Management in Practice. So, till now what we had done was to understand the concept of strategic leadership and management. But in this particular learning outcome B, we will be understanding and we will be going through the various aspects of how strategic leadership and management is used practically. Now, since we always say a person is a good leader, a person is a good manager, do you really think there is a separate quality of a leader or a manager? Yes or no? There is a separate quality for a leader and a manager. As a manager, you only go around and understand the functioning of the organization. You try to manage the functioning of the organization. But if you are a good leader, then you try to manage the entire aspect of the organization. It's not about a particular piece of work which you have to manage. It is also about the entire organization's vision, which a good leader should know, so that they can manage the entire thing in a perfection, so that both the employees of the organization and the employer of the organization feel satisfied, motivated, and have a sense that things are working in a good particular way as they require it to be. As per the keynote speaker Jeremy Moon, leadership is not about leader, it is about the process. This sentence has a deep meaning within it. Means it's not about X, Y, Z who can only be a good leader. It is more about a person having the quality, the person X having the quality of the leader. Means he has these particular aspects of leadership inbuilt in him. Okay, so that's the reason they say leadership is not about leaders, it is about the process being followed in an organization. So now we have already understood the concept of leadership, but we'll just try to understand again, just recap what strategic leadership is. A strategic leadership is a practice which managers, minded, the word is managers, using different styles of management, develop a vision for the organization that enables it to adapt to remain competitive in changing economic, technological environment. Now, if you say about the process, nowadays there are various organizations having global presence. These organizations, when they have a global presence and the economic condition of the countries are changing so rapidly. If you see the conditions during the pandemic period, they was changing like anything. The economy was going, many countries the economies was going down. If you see, in many industries the economy was growing up, but in many industries they were not able to manage their basic requirements or expenses also. In this type of vulnerable climate situation of the businesses, it becomes very important to have a vision in place for the organization. If you put vision in place, there is a vision which should be there, and who are those who carry these vision? These are real leaders. Vision is not about attaining or targeting a certain sales target by the company. It's not only about gaining more and more profits for the company. It is also about having satisfied employees, having right working environment, having right social responsibility. So all these aspects are aspects are part of a strategic leadership. So that's the reason it's not about a person, it is about the process. These people together, these good leaders together make a good company, a good organizational culture, which is fruitful for everybody. It's not about it is fruitful for only people who are working for the company. It is also about fruitful for all the stakeholders who are actually somewhere or the other connected to the organization. So if you see, there are different types of stakeholders: internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. Who are internal stakeholders? Internal stakeholders are stakeholders who are directly connected to the company, like owners, employees, and external stakeholders are stakeholders who are indirectly connected to the organization. These stakeholders, when they work they are connected to the organization, it is the responsibility of the leaders to make them satisfied. So these external stakeholders can be government, it can be it can be customers, it can be society. So keeping all of them satisfied is a difficult task. Manager can only manage, he or she can manage to the extent of what is required by the organization. They can, for example, if you see, if I am a employer or I am a manager, I might give 10 different tasks to my people, and I make sure that 10 different tasks are completed on time. Is this the only work of a manager? Yes, it is a work of the manager, but in case they want to build that leadership qualities in them, they should have certain other aspects. Means the people who are working for them should be satisfied, should be motivated, should be comfortable, should have their self-esteem, self-actualization needs taken care while they are working for the organization. These are the traits of a good leader and traits of a good strategic leadership. Nowadays, if you see, there are, let me erase it. Nowadays, if you see, there are various styles being adopted, but the most adopted styles for leadership is autocratic and democratic. Autocratic style and democratic style. Now, the very known style people used to use in past was autocratic style. Since economic conditions and technological environment were changing rapidly, hence there is no more use of skilled and professional labors those days. That's the reason use of autocratic style was there. But nowadays, since more globalization, changing economic environment, and technological environment, the autocratic style of leadership is diminishing. Now, what is autocratic? Being bossy. You must have heard about people like Hitler, Napoleon Bonaparte, Elon Musk. These are the leaders who actually use this autocratic style. Means whatever is their decision is the decision which is to be actually implemented by all the people working under them. Okay, so nowadays actually domination or a dominating style of leadership does not work. Maybe sometimes you have to adopt this style for a time being. That is a different thing. As per the scenario, if you want to adopt this style, that is totally different thing. But this style is not widely used on a day-to-day basis. Nowadays what is being used is democratic leadership, that is more in vogue, as people who work in such complicated environment possess certain level of education background. Now, if suppose I have a professional degree of a chartered accountant, do you really think I will hear some sort of opposition? No. I would like to have people know me. I will like to the people who are working above me to understand my aspects towards certain way or towards the operations of the business. I would also want those people to understand my self-actualization need. Now, if you see, all these aspects is to be taken care by a good leader. This is how, if you actually take care all the aspects of day-to-day operations and decision making, and you try to involve your people who are under you, working for you, in that case you are actually using a democratic style of leadership. Now, the most important question, very important question comes here is, how do you bring leadership qualities in practice? How do you actually bring them into the day-to-day operations of the organization? How do you actually lead on a daily basis? So the first important, amongst the few things which is to be kept in mind, the first important thing is performance management. The first important thing is performance management. Performance management. Second important thing is equality and diversity. And the third thing which is to be kept in mind is morals, ethics and organizational culture. Means morals and ethics which brings in or forms organizational culture. Performance management, the first important thing which comes to the mind is, how do you align the resources? There are various resources in the organization, and how do you align them? How do you align those resources so that they work for the best of the organization? So performance management is the first and foremost important aspect of bringing leadership into the practice. Means how beautifully you can pull out things from people who are working for you. How beautifully you bring all the skills and values they have in them so that they work best for the organization, along with the most important target, that employees or the people who are working for you should be satisfied, should be motivated, should be thinking about the organization, they should think that they are the part of the organization. Then only a good performance can be expected. If in case suppose a person is not motivated, a person or an employee is not motivated, that person will not be able to give his 100% to the organization. If the person is not able to give his 100% to the organization, it is very difficult for the organization and people who are the owners to achieve their long-term visions. So very important aspect is to align the resources which is there in the organization. So now we will only talk about performance management right now. How performance management has a role in the strategic leadership. So first thing is in this performance management is strategic alignment of resources. Strategic alignment of resources. So whatever resources an organization has, be it technological resource, be it financial resource, be it human resource, any such resources which the organization possess, how they are aligned beautifully so that vision or target of the organization is achieved. Now, the second important aspect of performance management is employee motivation. We will talk individually about each one of them. Third one is recognition and reward. Fourth important aspect is interpersonal relationship between supervisor and subordinate. Relationship between supervisor and subordinates. Fifth one is talent management, talent development, how beautifully you manage your talent. So, talent management and development. Delegation of duties and responsibilities. And the seventh one is last, recruitment and selection, means How do you plan people in your organization? Now, to explain you strategic alignment of resources, I want you to, I will be drawing a diagram for you which has, if you see, every enterprise has a certain purpose. Every enterprise has a certain purpose, and this purpose is nothing but the vision of the organization. Now it is totally dependent upon a leader or a manager how beautifully they align all the resources of the organization so that this purpose gets fulfilled on time. While the purpose is to attain the vision, it is very important to strategize the business processes. Means, unless and until you have certain procedures and processes in place, it becomes really difficult for an organization to attain the purpose, to attain the objectives. Okay, so it is very important how well the organization's capability support delivery of business strategy. Means, how beautifully people align themselves, resources, technological, human, financial resources align themselves so that a business strategy is formed and the entire enterprise purpose is achieved. Now, the second important aspect is you have formed a vision, but really your organization has that capability to achieve that. Capability to achieve that means the organization should have sufficient amount or quantum of resources so that they can achieve the purpose. So everything, finding out the capabilities, strategizing the processes, everything rolls around the performance management. How leaders of an organization think in the aspect of strategic alignment of resources so that the purpose or the vision of the organization can be achieved. To do all this, all the resources are architectured in such a manner that the capacity of the organization can be consumed to the fullest. And then last but not the least, the technological part of the resources, or nowadays the basic alignment, the overall alignment of the entire organization is through the technology. Today, if I have to buy or you have to purchase something, I will have to raise an invoice to the vendor. I have to find out request for proposal from the vendors. For all these aspects, even a small thing in organization nowadays, IT, the technology is required. So the beautiful alignment of strategic resources will achieve the purpose or vision of the organization. This is how their performance, the resource performance is important, and who takes care of that all the resources are engaged perfectly. It is the responsibility of a leader to understand that all the resources of the organizations are used appropriately and optimistically. The next important thing is, it is not always the tangible or intangible resources. It is also about the human resources. Now, human resource means people working for you, employees of your organization. It is very important to keep them motivated. It is very important to keep them motivated. It is very important to recognize their efforts in the organization. If their efforts in the organizations are not recognized, there would be a point where the saturation will be there. People will not work wholeheartedly. So very important is these 2 points, employee motivation and recognition and reward, are connected points. How? People, they are motivated for 2 things. Either intrinsic motivation is there or extrinsic motivation is there. Means there are few people who work. So actually all of us work for money. But for few people it is not only money but also self-actualization needs, self-esteem, self-realization. All these things are important apart from the physiological needs. So if you see what all are the physiological needs? Physiological needs are food, shelter and other basic necessities. Now there are people who will keep working for years and years and years to just get these needs fulfilled. These are called extrinsic rewards or benefits. These are called extrinsic rewards or benefits. These rewards and benefits are very tangible in nature, like a good incentive, a good salary, a good bonus that will definitely motivate an employee. And it is very important to enhance the performance of an employee to keep them motivated with rewards. So these rewards which are tangible in nature in terms of incentives, money, hike, increment and what all things which it can be in a form of a bonus or a holiday tour for key personals. All this comes under extrinsic rewards. Whereas there are people, the other category which I told you, they work for food and shelter, but they also work for self-actualization. Means on a day-to-day basis, it is very important for them to learn a new thing. For that reason, if you see nowadays youngsters, they keep on changing their job. Every 2 years, 3 years, they don't. And there was a time when like our grandfathers, they used to be in the organization from the day they used to get into the organization, they used to remain the employee of this organization till the retirement. What was the reason? The reason was at that time most of the people were working for physiological needs. They were not working for the recognition. They were not working for self-actualization needs. The next and second type is intrinsic needs of employee. Now, intrinsic needs of employee means as the word itself says intrinsic, the word itself says internal. Means I feel recognized, I am happy in the organization. Every day I feel like coming to the office and talk to people around me. I have been given respect for the things which I do on a daily basis. I am recognized for the things which I do on a daily basis. So this recognition and reward are 2 important pillars to achieve employee motivation. This employee motivation, if it will be there, it will be resulting into optimum utilization of human resource in the organization. Optimum utilization of human resource in the organization would lead to achievement of vision or the target of the organization. So if we see, then each and every point in the performance management is interconnected, and who has to look after all these needs of the people? It is a good leader. If the leadership quality in the manager is missing, achievement of these aspects is next to impossible. The next important and very soul of the organization is supervisor and subordinate relationship. There is a well-known saying these days. They say, you don't leave your company, you leave your boss. Means, if you are not happy with your boss, you will not be able to sustain in an organization for a longer period of time. So it is very important for a good leader to become a good, or a good manager to become a good leader rather, because it is very important to maintain the relationship between a supervisor and subordinate. If you are too bossy, your things may not be liked by your subordinates. If you are too lenient, they may take you for granted. So it is very important for a leader to manage a certain level of balance between these two aspects of management. Okay, so it is important to maintain a relationship, a good relationship between a supervisor and a subordinate. There are various theories on this aspect which we will be, so there are Taylor's theory of motivation, there is Maslow's theory of motivation. If you get time, you can actually go through it. This will highlight few other aspects of relationship between a supervisor and subordinates. Apart from all these things, there is another important aspect of intrinsic reward and recognition is talent management and development. See how a typical HR cycle works. It is like when you get recruited, they give you induction. When you are being inducted in an organization, you have been given certain roles and responsibilities to perform in the organization. When they give you certain roles and responsibilities to perform in the organization, what happens? They try to understand your talent. Because when you work, your manager tries to see you what you are good in and what you are doing on like an average basis. You are like doing it as per the books. You are not very passionate about certain things and you are maybe very passionate about the other things. So all these aspects come under the talent management. It is very important function of one of the very important function of HR is talent management, where they are required to find out the people's talent, highlight it wherever it is required. On the other side, where the development and training is required, they try to develop them. So the typical HR cycle, it works from recruitment, selection to induction to performance to monitoring of the performance, whatever you did, and finally the appraisal part. So appraisal part, they try to understand those who want to be those who require development. So it is important for a good leader to try and understand what is the talent in their people and how they can develop it. So that the things can be done with a more perfection, with more efficiency, with a more better outcome in a cost effective manner. Next important aspect of performance management is delegation of duties and responsibility. Now, this particular aspect needs one important thing, means right people, right place and right time. Means it is very important for a manager or a leader to understand who is the right person for the job, where this person should be placed, and what should be the time of the placement. These three aspects actually are required to be understood to delegate the roles and responsibility of a person. So delegation of roles or duties and responsibilities is another important aspect of good leadership. You have to understand the people, their skills, what is it which is very good in them. You should put them as a part of that particular job which they enjoy, and that can actually bring more fruits for the organization. That is the reason before recruitment and selection of the person, it is important to make a job description. Means exactly what is the job, so that people or candidate who is looking out on the portal or on the job sites or in the newspaper, or they come to know about the job from some recruitment company, they know what are the roles and responsibility of a certain profile. Then only recruitment and selection would be effective. So this entire piece is about performance management, means understanding strategic leadership and management in practice, and how the performance management and these aspects of performance management is used in practice, so that a combination of good leader and manager can be built. Next is, now the next is equality and diversity. Very important. Nowadays, this is an era of globalization. Means you must have heard about companies called MNCs, multinational companies, global companies, this, that. What does this mean? Means people are from one country, they move to other countries. Means in every organization nowadays you will find people from different culture, different locality, different geographies, from different caste, religion. So geographies means countries, and faith. Now, handling such diverse people is a difficult job, but it's not difficult for a person who is a good leader. Equality and diversity means giving equal opportunities to the people who are working with you. There should be no sort of biasness in giving or delegating duties. The only aspect based on which the duty should be given to the people is their skills. If their skills are optimum, they should be given the job, irrespective of which place they belong to, irrespective of which age they are in, irrespective of what is the gender of a person. So if you see, there's a gap, there's a lot of problem these days there was a lot of problem. No, they're not this. There was a lot of problem with the global diversity. Nowadays, the things are moving towards globalization, and equality and diversity is being observed. It is made as one of the important points in an organization as a part of code of conduct of the organization, that they are being observed in the organization. And the equality and diversity in the workplace means a lot of things. They are about respecting your staff for their individual age, gender, race, cultural background, career experience, skills, beliefs, and many more things. People from different geographies, nowadays they come under same roof for working for the organization. It becomes their the responsibility of leader to maintain unity and justice amongst the people of different religion, caste, creed, and faith. Another important factor that has popped up these days is corporate social responsibility. So very important thing in the aspect of equality and diversity is corporate social responsibility. Corporations, they play a very important role in societal development, because they are, so when we were talking about stakeholder, society was one of the stakeholders of the organization. So it is very important for any organization to keep the people around them, even though they are not interacting with the organization on the daily basis, to keep them happy. Now how do you keep them happy? You are not polluting the air from the waste or fumes of the factory. You are not polluting the water of the place. All these comes under the corporate social responsibility. It's of immense importance for the society and for business. It is so you must have seen an ad in India. There is an ad wherein every so I think it's of Procter and Gamble, wherein if you buy any product of Procter and Gamble, they will pay a certain amount to a charity where people will be feeded from that amount. Okay, so this is another aspect. You can take care of the people. All these comes under the leadership. You will be globally known for the good things. So you here means company will be globally known for the good things they are doing for the society as a whole. So it is very important to maintain that diversity, maintain that equality, maintain that sense of ethics in you, so that the total organization flourishes. Consider, for instance, taxation, working conditions, and environmental issues. All these comes under corporate social responsibility. If you take these parts, means if you as an organization give equal opportunities to your people, if you as an organization bring diverse culture, diverse cultures in your organization, obviously there will be a different flavor from different countries. Somebody is good in some particular thing, the other country is good in some other thing. The experience will be vast. The company will gain a lot from their experience of different countries. So it is now becoming a very important requirement of the organization to have a diverse culture within or under a same roof. So obviously nowadays with the globalization, international diversity has come up. Now very important aspect is how you manage that international diversity. This here this is the test of a leader. How beautifully the diversity or equality is maintained in the organization. It is to be justified justified by each and every movement which a leader takes. Corporate social responsibility, very another important aspect which we have already discussed in detail. And when you have all these things in place, put together, a certain ethics of the organization is developed. A global diversity can be seen in the organization. So that is the reason the other important aspect of a good leadership and management and how you bring that in practice is by actually adapting equality and diversity into the organization. Okay, so the next and the last important point of understanding strategic leadership is moral ethics of the organization. It is very important for an organization to have a moral ethics in it. So every organization has to have a certain values and follows certain policies, procedures, their guidelines, rules of doing things. There's a certain way of doing certain things. So all these procedures and policies which they set, which the top management sets for the organization, actually are the base to build organizational culture. The principles and beliefs of any organization forms its culture. The organization culture decides the way employees interact amongst themselves. So sometimes you must have seen some organization where people are really very aggressive. Once you reach the reception, you try to talk to the people there, you will see that aggression in them. On the other hand, there may be some organizations where when you reach, you will feel a sense of peace and stability into the organization. So all depends, see, this is a top to bottom approach. It all depends upon what culture or what do you say in the nature top management has. So usually it is top to bottom approach, means the nature, the culture which is set up at the top of the organization, it flows till the bottom of the organization, means from the top management till the lower level management. No two organizations will have same culture. Each and every organization will certainly have a different culture. If you see in your own house, maybe people belonging to the same religion, if they are living in two different houses, they will have a certain different type of way of living. They will have a different culture itself. Every house has its own aura. So same is the case with the organization. The organization, although maybe in the same industry, will always have a different culture. Now it is very important for an employee to follow that culture so that they remain stress free. Now, to understand the various aspects of culture in an organization, we have come up with a model called Handy's model of organizational culture. In this model, there are 4 types of organizational culture. The first one is power, the second one is task, the third one is person, and the fourth one is role. So the first organization type, which says power based culture, wherein power remains in the hands of very few people, means amongst, say, suppose 5,000 employees working in an organization, 100 employees would have power in their hands, means the decision making are in the hand of few people. They have special privileges in the organization. So they have special privileges in the organization. They are most important people at workplace, and all the responsibilities are delegated by them to the people under them. Okay, so the managers in such type of culture sometimes can be partial. Maybe there is a element of biasness there. The next type of culture is task culture. Organization where power radiates from few individuals, where organization formed to achieve the targets, means task. You must have seen, especially in the software companies, let's take example of Tata Consultancy. They have various different projects with different customers. Each project has a different task to perform, and these tasks are managed by a project manager. Now it is totally dependent upon how or what is the ethical background of that project manager, how he is treating his people. This entire thing makes a task culture. So organization where teams are formed to achieve the targets or solve critical problems follow the task culture. In such cases, organization individuals with common interest. So here, if you have a task, all of them will have a common interest. They will work as a team. 4 5 people, 10 people, 20 people will work as a team, and again it will have a similar scenario as a power culture, wherein power radiates from few individual. Only few people, maybe a project manager or a assistant project manager, will have a power of decision making, and such type of culture is found in entrepreneurial organization. People are seldom loyal in this. People has to contribute. So all the people in the project has to contribute towards the task equally and in a more efficient and innovative manner. Means innovation is another characteristics of task culture. The third type of culture is person culture, wherein people believe that they are superior than the organization. Means organization does not make them, they make the organization. So if you see the companies, firms, consultancy firms where professionals are involved, they make the consultancy coming together. So suppose 5-10 professionals, they joined their hand and started a consultancy firm, wherein consultancy firm does not have any specific role to play. The people who are part of this type of organization, they have a certain specific role to play. So such type of culture is called person based culture. It is personal culture where organization takes a back seat and people or employee, they actually take a superior position in the organization. But in this case there is a bigger disadvantage, that sometimes employees come to office only for the sake of earning money. And the success of the organization depends upon retaining key personnel. Means you cannot afford to lose any of the key person, any of the professional which you have hired in your organization. If you do so, there are chances of making losses. So such type of culture is person based culture. The last one is role culture, which is used in maximum organization. So it's a highly defined organizational structure. So if you see a organizational structure of Apple company or Starbucks, or be it any big organization, it is role based culture where there is a certain hierarchy of positions. So MD, CEO of the company, different department heads, vice presidents of those respective departments, senior managers, assistant managers, followed by people or normal employee below them. So such type of organization is has a highly defined culture and clear delegation of authority. So if I belong to a certain department, say finance department, I will be given the responsibilities of finance related only. I will not get responsibility of sales department, but in this type of department, decision making is really slow sometime because they have to follow a certain hierarchy. Okay, so maybe decision making is definitely slow because if suppose it has to be approved by 10 people, it has to move through 10 people to reach or to start action on a certain decision. So this is all about Handy's model of organizational culture. These individual cultures in an organization forms moral ethics of the organization, and this is actually followed in practice in real world. So with this we are finishing off our learning outcome B, which is understanding strategic leadership and management. Thank you so much.